3 days to go until deadline day, and some big names will be making some big moves. The transfer team are going to have a busy few days, and we've got a busy hour ahead. We've got Marlon Harewood joining the team today. This is Good Morning Transfers.
We'll have news from Arsenal this hour. Could one of their key players leave the club before Friday?
We know that everyone wants a striker in this window. Could Jose Mourinho be getting closer to adding to his attacking ranks? We'll reveal all on the show.
West Ham and Sheffield United look close to adding to their squads with big money moves for midfielders.
And we are back. I'll be speaking to Marlon today at the Sky Pad about his time in China and whether his former clubs Aston Villa and West Ham have had success through January transfer windows.
It's the 11 p.m. deadline on Friday. Believe me, we're expecting so many deals to be done between now and then. We've picked 5 high-profile players whose future are still to be decided. We've talked about Christian Eriksen every day of this window. We expect him to become an Inter Milan player, barring any last-minute hitches. That should be finalised today. And Inter Milan's raid on the Premier League doesn't end there. Not content with Romelu Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez in the summer, Ashley Young and Eriksen possibly this month, but they also remain in pole position for Chelsea's Olivier Giroud. He's been a wanted man, but he wants Inter. One player whose future expected, we thought it would be done by now, is Bruno Fernandes. We're still talking about him. That's because Manchester United and Sporting Lisbon still haven't agreed a fee for the midfielder. Danny Rose is in demand. At least 6 Premier League clubs want the Tottenham left-back. Bournemouth are in talks, but they face competition from several other clubs, including Watford and Newcastle. And Edinson Cavani still hasn't moved. He wants to, and a family member says he's got his heart set on Atletico Madrid. But with that deal stalling, could a Premier League club pounce? We'll keep across all of those big deals, every deal in fact, all the way through to that deadline. Right, but we're going to start at Arsenal. We know that they want a centre-back. We'll get into that in a moment, but there are reports that may worry the fans. It's about a potential outgoing. Mark, what do we know?
This is huge, and this is one of those stories that drops into your email inbox and you go, wow, this could be unbelievable. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is on the radar of Barcelona, and Barcelona are increasingly confident that they can get him and get a deal done, which was reported in the Spanish media last week. But get this, in this January window. We're not talking about a move in the summer, we are talking about in the next 3 days. Yesterday, Matt Law in the Telegraph said that Barcelona are expected to make an offer this week. He will cost around £50 million or thereabouts, which is around what Arsenal paid to get his services in the first place. Aubameyang wants to play Champions League football. He wants to play at the highest level. As things stand, he currently has 18 months left on his Arsenal deal. That doesn't mean necessarily that this can't get done. There's no contract on the table from Arsenal at the moment. He said in his programme notes just 2 weeks ago that he wasn't going anywhere, that he loved the club and that he wanted to get them back to the top. But when Arsenal get a call from Barcelona, when a player gets a call from Barcelona, things change.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just hear from Mikel Arteta, actually, because he was asked in his post-match news conference yesterday with those reports linking Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with a move.
I won over here 100%. I'm so happy with him, and I can't wait to have him available again after the suspension.
Yeah, Arsenal fans, we really want to hear from you on this. It's #TransferTalk at Sky Sports News, and we will read out some of those tweets that you've got. We're going to bring Marlon Harewood in. Good morning to you, Marlon. Thanks for joining the transfer team today. Aubameyang here, that there's quite strong reports that Barcelona are in for him. Why would Arsenal, though, from their point of view, let him go?
I can't see that happening, really, especially in this window, and especially when they're just taking on a new manager. I think they want to try and better the club, not decrease the club in the sense of letting him go to a massive team like Barcelona. But at the same time, as a player, it's like a dream come true when a team like that comes in for you. You don't want to turn something like that down.
And that's the thing, Keith, we've seen it so many times. If Barcelona say they're confident of signing a player, it tends to happen.
It does, yeah, with Real Madrid as well. And I think with Aubameyang as well, at his age, 30, 31 this summer, he's probably looking at it and thinking, I've got one big last contract in me. And you'd imagine someone like him, who was a little bit of a a late developer, I think it's fair to say, in terms of playing for big top clubs, will want to play for one of the big 2 or 3, clubs in Europe. So, yes, that could be the case, but I have to agree with Marlon. I cannot see that getting done this window with just 3 days to go. So perhaps that is one, although they're desperate for a striker now. OK, Suarez will be back in the summer, but perhaps that's one where he could maybe move in the summer. I just don't see it happening now.
So why do they want a striker though, Alice?
Yeah, well, Keith just touched on it there. Luis Suarez could be out for the rest of the season. He's had that surgery on his knee, and there's really no backup, which is quite surprising if you think we're talking about Barcelona here. They've got the 19-year-old Abel Ruiz, but he's struggling to make the jump up from the Barcelona B team, so it's looking like he's not ready. So they really need these reinforcements. Obviously, they are still top of La Liga, but they lost 2-0 to Valencia at the weekend. And if Real Madrid win their game this week, then they'll be replacing them at the top of La Liga. They're still in the Champions League. They've got Napoli in the last 16. So lots of games to come. They need a striker to fill that void. And the new manager, Quique Setien, he's admitted that he's still kind of getting his players over to his methods and his ways of playing. But without the striker, where do they go from here, really?
We're asking Arsenal fans to get in touch, #transfer talk. But Mark, how do you think they would react if Aubameyang was allowed to go?
I think they'd be in tears across the Emirates. I think it would be one of those moments where they seem to have a real affinity and a connection with Pierre. He seems to be the leader, he's the talisman, he's the one that's got the goals. You look at his record recently, 46 goals in 64 Premier League starts. He has been the focal point of their attack. He has led the club for the last 18 months or so. So this would be a huge blow. But like I said earlier on, when Barcelona come knocking,
on the door,
your head gets turned. If they came in for you, Marlon, what would you have done?
My head would be turned a little bit.
Just a little
just a bit.
But obviously it brings me to those players that have gone from Arsenal to Barcelona. And we've got a little graphic actually which gives you an indication as to some of the quality that has gone from London to Spain, and some incredible players. Incredible players. Obviously goes back to 2000 with Emmanuel Petit and Marc Overmars. That was a joint deal that took them from Arsenal to Barcelona. Van Bronckhorst in 2003. Obviously the main man, Thierry Henry. That was a huge blow for the club. One of the big signings for Barcelona at that time under Pep Guardiola in 2007. Haleb, Cesc Fabregas and Alex Son most recently, but you see there is a connection between Arsenal and Barcelona, so this is a really interesting one to watch.
As a striker, when you play your whole career for these moments, and if Barcelona come in for you, it's just one of them things that, especially obviously the fans love him at Arsenal. Arsenal's a big club, and they're obviously trying to rekindle themselves at the moment. And for him to leave, it's taken a back step for Arsenal, really.
Do you think, Marlon, even on the back of those programme notes, just a couple of weeks ago when he said, I will not be going anywhere, could he go after that? Even if it is Barcelona?
It's football, and it changes very quickly, as you well know. And like a team like Barcelona comes in from you, sometimes they might not come around again. And you don't really turn them situations down.
Marlon, what about, Aubameyang he hasn't been captain for long, but he is captain now. Would that play on your mind if you're at a club and you've been given that responsibility of the armband?
Yeah, Cesc Fabregas, wasn't he captain of the club?
He was.
And obviously he went to Barcelona. When you seek an opportunity like that, it's, like I said, you don't really turn them things down when they come around. And obviously he's well thought of at Arsenal, and it'll be a sad day for him if they let him go. I can't see Arsenal want him to go or letting him go, but at the same time, money talks, and if they can get the deal done, it will be done. Yeah,
so Barcelona chasing Real Madrid just top of the league at the moment, so you can see why Barcelona would want to, and maybe can't see why Arsenal might want to let him go. Right, OK, let's look at the other end of the pitch now and talk about centre-backs, because there's been a hitch in the Pablo Mari deal, and that's been made worse by an injury to Shkodran Mustafi, Alice. Yeah, well, we know for a while that Arsenal have been in the market for a centre-back. Obviously, they're looking to cover the injury from Callum Chambers. That's ruled him out for the rest of the season. But now, as you say, Mustafi could be ruled out. We don't know how long for, but he was carried off on a stretcher last night's win over Bournemouth in the FA Cup, so that didn't look very good. And after the game, Mikel Arteta actually said that it wouldn't alter the club's transfer plans,
but it seems fairly hard to think that how it wouldn't, if you know what I mean. We know they aren't looking to spend a huge amount of money, given they spent more than £100 million in the summer on the likes of Nicola Pepe and Kieran Tierney, who's also struggled with injury himself. And we know that they're interested in the centre-back Pablo Mari from Flamengo, but it looks at the minute like that deal is in the balance, really. It looks fairly unlikely with just a few days left of the window. Now, he's now returned to Brazil, and as it stands, he'll be continuing his pre-season training with his club Flamengo. We're told the clubs do remain in contact, but it looks fairly unlikely at this stage, and they are in need of a central defender.
So he had that medical on Sunday,
Yeah.
flew back yesterday to Brazil. He's not flying back to France or Germany or whatever. I don't think that bodes well for that transfer if he's gone back to Brazil. It's a long way to go, having had the medical.
And then to fly back again.
Yeah.
If he change his mind.
I don't think that looks too good.
Well, the thing is, they wanted him, so they wanted a centre-back, Marlon. We know they wanted one. With Mustafi now injured, do they now need a centre-back?
Yeah, definitely. I would, if you ask me a question of where does Arsenal need to strengthen, and I would say definitely the defence. And obviously, like the injuries that they have now, they definitely need to go and get one to support what they're trying to do and for them to get up to the top where they should be. They definitely need a top-class centre-half.
Yeah, and Mark, on Mustafi, there was, at the start of the window, I think a lot of us expected Mustafi to actually make a move, but he's been given this other chance now that there's a new manager in Mikel Arteta. It must be quite hard for him to now get this injury when he was back in the side.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking when you see players get injuries, particularly, like you say, when he's been given a second chance. You know, you have to remember as well, he was a huge signing for the football club in the summer of 2016. In excess of £30 million was paid, and it's probably fair to say he's not had the impact that everyone expected. A second chance under Mikel Arteta, but it just hasn't gone well, and it just leaves gaps at the back, injuries like Alice said. It's so difficult when you're a manager trying to patch up a side when you haven't got your best players available. You're trying to rejuvenate a side. You're trying to get Arsenal to compete for the Premier League, because that's what Arsenal fans want. They want to be in the top four minimum. They want to challenge for the title. They want to challenge for silverware. So it's a big challenge on his hands, Mikel's got, and he's going to have to work quickly because there's a lot to do starting at the back.
Yeah, we've had loads of tweets in. We asked for these. We knew that Arsenal fans would get in touch. Jeremiah says that seeing Aubameyang leave Arsenal this window would really hurt the club, not to mention leave us fans gutted. I hope he stays. Matthew says if we sell Aubameyang, wouldn't be surprised if we get relegated. And then in capitals, don't sell Aubameyang. That's a bit much there, Matthew. Andre says this club is a joke by not putting £350,000 a week on the table for Aubameyang at this time. He's also not happy that the Marie deal at the moment is off. And there's Jeff here as well saying no chance that Arsenal should sell Aubameyang unless they have an immediate move for a striker lined up. Still very much have a chance of getting the top six, compete in the Europa League, the FA Cup, etc. Makes no sense to weaken the side. OK, let's get to some more of the stories making headlines now with State of Play with Mark.
Steven Bergwijn is in London and ready to undertake a medical with Tottenham as talks continue over a transfer from PSV Eindhoven. Norwegian international midfielder Sander Berge has told Genk he wishes to leave the club before Friday's transfer deadline, with Sheffield United favourites to sign him. Slavia Prague have given midfielder Tomáš Souček permission to travel to London for a medical and further contract negotiations with West Ham. West Brom Albion are in talks with Sheffield United about a deal for striker Callum Robinson. QPR and Charlton are among the clubs keen to sign Tottenham's Troy Parrott on loan. Sunderland have signed midfielder Josh Scowen from QPR for an undisclosed fee.
Now the story that won't go away. This man, of course, Bruno Fernandes. And fresh quotes from the Sporting head coach last night, Silas, speaking after Sporting's 1-0 victory over Margarito. I cannot confirm that this will be his last game. I would like him to stay, but I cannot say whether he will or he will not. Now, we know Bruno is a different class player and he sees things that nobody else does. I mean, the diagonal movements, the long passes. Any team that had Bruno and loses him would suffer. And if we were the team to lose him, we will suffer. But he has promised if we do lose him, we will find solutions. So Manchester United fans, look, just a little bit over 72 hours to go. Can the deal get done?
Right, OK, much more to come. Alice caught up with one of Aston Villa's new signings yesterday. We'll hear from him next, and we'll get Marlon's thoughts on the business done at his former club.
guard your towels.
This is Good Morning Transfers, and yesterday we sent Alice to Aston Villa's training ground. Alice, you went to speak to one of Aston Villa's new signings, their striker Mbwana Samata. What was he like, and how's he finding life so far at the club?
Yeah, I think this is a hugely exciting signing for Aston Villa fans. He was very excited to be here, great guy. He's the first Tanzanian to join a Premier League club, so that's absolutely huge. He's joined from Genk on a 4.5-year deal, and yeah, he joins, he was the captain there, so he obviously had those leadership qualities, and I think he's hoping to bring those to Villa as well. And he talked about training. He had his first training session late last week, and he said that he's already noticed an increase in intensity, and he's ready for that. And he said it was an easy decision to come to the Premier League, but it was difficult for him to leave his former players behind, and he's keeping in contact with them. And he feels very inspirational as well. He's got a slogan, and I might be saying this wrong, I'll try and say it right, Heina Kofeli, and it translates to never fail. And he said that that's a slogan that he keeps with him during his time when he's playing football. So yeah, very inspirational and a very exciting time for Aston Villa fans. So we can hear from him now. Here's what he had to say to me yesterday.
It was incredible news for me, of course. We never have any Tanzanian player who play in a Premier League side team, and it could be the first one. And mostly of Tanzanian people, they are every weekend watching Premier League, so that could be fantastic news. And yeah, I was so happy to join Aston Villa.
Your family must be very proud of you. How's their reaction been?
After everything was clean, get a visa, I do my medical and everything. I called my father to let him know that everything went well, and we're waiting for the work permit to be done. And his reaction was, he screamed very hard. I was, wow, what's going on? He very screamed, and yeah, he congratulated me, and he told me that he was so proud. And yeah, he was just also telling me, like, I'm in tears right now, because what you achieve is everybody's dream.
A couple of the players already here, you will have come across your time in Belgium. Marvellous Nakamba and Wesley both obviously played in Belgium. Did you know them well before you came here?
We always met when we were playing against each other. And yeah, we become friendly a little bit by texting each other in social medias like Instagram or something, just whatever happened to congratulate each other or something. But we were not really very close before until I come here.
Was it nice to see some familiar faces though?
Yeah, it's very nice, and it's give you something to feel like, okay, I'm in the right place here.
And what do you hope to bring to the side? Obviously, fairly close to the relegation zone, not in it though, which is obviously a big step, having won the last game. But what do you expect to bring to the side?
I think there'll never be one player who's gonna do everything to help the team. This is about the group that we have to do it together, and I'm sure with everyone effort, that means we're gonna be strong and gonna help the team so much to do better and better every time.
Traditionally, in the first away game, a new player will have an initiation song. Have you got yours ready? Do you know what you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm kind of guy who like reggae, so probably I'm going to sing one song from one legend of reggae or something. Just reggae. I'll sing reggae.
Oh, look forward to it. Have you got good singing voice?
Sorry?
Good singing voice?
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure.
Can we all just appreciate that energy from Pepe Reina for a second? But yes, all January long, we have been talking about Aston Villa's wish list and the positions that they have targeted during the whole of the window. So let's review, let's go through the checklist as we've done the whole of January. Goalkeeper, the man himself we just saw there singing the best song ever, Pepe Reina, former World Cup winner, wealth of experience. We know what he's going to bring in that goalkeeper position. Midfielder, also a check. Danny Drinkwater, brought in, season-long loan, former Premier League winner, is going to come with that experience as well. So Dean Smith at that point would have been happy. And now the striker position. Ali Samanta, as we just heard, the new Tanzanian striker, helping to fill that void since Wesley's injury, and I'll bring in my strike partner right here, Marlon Harewood, my guy. I want to talk to you first of all and ask you about the striker position. Obviously, they've just brought in Ali Samanta, but how do you feel? Do you feel like they need to add more goals? Do you still like they need to add another addition in that position?
Yeah, definitely. I watched them last week, and they struggled up front because of the injuries that they had. So now they've got a striker. I would say another striker would be needed just to push on and try and help the strike rate to get some goals.
Marlon, you've been in change rooms. I have to ask you, when you see Pepe Reina do those sort of things, how encouraging is it, especially for the way that Villa started the first half of their season? Would that sort of thing boost their morale?
Yeah, definitely. A player like that coming into the change rooms and trying to boost them to like where they want to be and how they want to stay in the Premier League, it's only a plus for them to push on, and having him behind you is a massive plus.
And talking about, obviously, experience, we just spoke about Pepe Reina, but obviously Danny Drinkwater comes in as well, former Premier League winner.
Yeah.
What's he going to bring to this team?
Yeah, a lot, really. It's needed for him to get some games, and I think he'll thrive off playing for Villa and helping all the young lads there and pushing them on to try and stay up in the Premier League.
I have to ask you, when you see players come in the middle of January, you've obviously been in so many numerous change rooms and all the rest of it. Do you feel like sometimes it's difficult to adjust when you come in halfway through the season at all?
No, I don't think it's like that anymore. I think times have changed, and when players come into the dressing room, they sort of know someone in the dressing room already. So just to make them welcome, and then when they start training, obviously their ability will shine through, and then other things will just lead on.
This is a club that's close to your heart. I know that obviously it means a lot to you still. When you see them the first half of their season, what do you feel like has been encouraging, and what would you turn around and say that they need to do kind of pushing forward now with only a few days left of the window?
Yeah, no, he's done some great signings to push on to stay in the Premier League. Obviously, that's what Aston Villa's task is to do, is to stay in the Premier League. And the signings that they've done now is to prove that to everybody that that's where they want to be and that's where they want to stay.
No, Marlon, the big question is, can they stay up? That's the big question.
It's a hard one, really, because there's so many teams down there doing the same thing, and everyone's buying players and they want to stay in the Prem. But I think they've got enough just to stay in there.
Okay, well, the man said it right there.
Yeah, okay, Marlon, you can come back to the desk. Actually, talking about strikers, over there I can see Emile Heskey and Darren Bent. We've got Marlon Harewood here as well. What a three-pronged attack that would be, right? Keep your tweets coming in, #transfer to have your say. Next, will Tottenham welcome a new winger to the club this week? Plus, Sheffield United look to spend big. All that and more next. Right, big breaking news from Tottenham. It's come at the perfect time. So we're actually about to chat with the transfer team about Tottenham and specifically Steven Bergwijn. We were going to say that Tottenham were still in for him. We can now say that a deal has been agreed between Tottenham and his club PSV to sign the winger Steven Bergwijn. OK, he's in London. We knew that yesterday. Already, the deal between Bergwijn and Tottenham was believed to have been agreed already. They just needed to get the fee accepted by PSV Eindhoven, for Tottenham. That has, in the last few seconds, just happened. All right, so Steven Bergwijn, who's more of a winger than a striker, it looks like he is on his way to Tottenham. And also today could be the day that Christian Eriksen goes out of Tottenham. It looks like he's going to become an Inter Milan player. He's had his medical. A deal should be finalised and announced today. So we're watching that one. Let's get back to Bergwijn because this is the breaking news. Mark, what do we know about him as a player?
It's fascinating, this one. He's a player that's been on the radar for a number of clubs for quite some time. He first came to prominence in the European Championships in 2016 for the under-19 Dutch side. There were two players that stood out in that tournament. Steven Bergwijn. Do you want to know who the other one was? Someone called Kylian Mbappe.
Oh, wow.
So back in 2016, he came to prominence. He's a quick, direct, pacey winger. He's powerful. He has good ability on the ball. He has the ability to make things happen as well. So he's a player that will excite the fans. He'll get people off their seats. And he's been very much on the radar for a number of years. But clubs have just been monitoring him. He's only 22, so still very much got his best years ahead of him. But he's a player that has courted the attention and finally, as we've just seen there with that news, Spurs have swooped to get their man, and this could be a really poignant, exciting signing and could be seen as one of the big signings of the window.
Well, how excited are you, Tottenham fans? Let us know. #transfer talk. Keith, when Jose Mourinho got the job, he suggested he wouldn't need to do any business in January because he was happy with his squad. They've already brought one in, another one on the way, and maybe even a striker as well. So why has he changed his mind?
Well, things have changed, haven't they? Obviously, Eriksen's is gone now. He wasn't going. We should expect that to go through soon. Harry Kane obviously is injured and is going to be out for some time, so things change. He's had to in recent weeks move Lucas Moura to play through the middle, Son as well, which then gives him less options in the three in behind. It looks as though, from what you say, Mark, about Bergwijn, that he can play in at least two of those three positions off the front man. So they just need numbers in there. But this is big news. I mean, Dutch football and Dutch players on the up. We've seen, Virgil van Dijk rise to prominence. We've seen Jorginho Wijnaldum do the exact same. It looks as though and sounds as though Bergwijn is the next off the conveyor belt. So yeah, this could be a big signing for Spurs.
So I suppose his main position is as a winger, right? And we know that Tottenham have wanted some competition for Harry Kane at the moment to start because Harry Kane is injured. Marlon, you were a striker. If Tottenham want you as a striker, but you know that Harry Kane is their first choice. When fit, Harry Kane will play. Would it put you off signing for them?
Me personally, no, because I would like to go there and try and prove myself and learn off him. And obviously, like situations like it, I obviously don't wish it upon him, but he's injured at the moment, and then I would get my time to help the club to go and do what they want to do, score goals, and the manager Mourinho, obviously you don't really turn something like that. If as a manager of that calibre wanted to come in for you, you would definitely want to go and learn off that sort of person, and the stadium at Tottenham and everything sort of comes involved in that situation. Me personally, I would definitely want to go.
Yeah, well, let's just recap that Tottenham and PSV Eindhoven have agreed a deal for Steven Bergwijn to move to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Just a couple of tweets about this. Daniel says it's been a very good window for Tottenham. They just need a centre forward, and he says he's looking forward to watching Bergwijn. And another Tottenham fan here says it's exciting to buy Gedson Fernandes and Steven Bergwijn. That's good so far. It looks like Tottenham fans are just wanting a striker as well. Right, let's get on to Sheffield United then, because it's been a great season for them so far, and it could be about to get even better. Alice, Explain to us why.
Yeah, Tom, it really has been a brilliant season for Sheffield United so far, as you say. 8th in the Premier League, just 1 point off the top 6. And now they're actually emerging as the favourites to sign the Norwegian international. He's a midfielder, Sander Berge. Now, Sander Berge has actually told Genk, his current club, that he wants to leave, and that would be before Friday's transfer deadline. He's 21 years old, and his agent has met with senior officials from Genk. We believe that happened last night to convince them to let him leave. That's how much he wants to join the Premier League. Negotiations between Genk and Sheffield United on a potential £20 million move have been continuing. The deadline is, of course, looming. It's thought that the next couple of days, the next 48 hours, could be very important in this move happening. Genk obviously very keen to keep the midfielder. We had the interview there with Aston Villa's Ali Samata, who was the Genk captain, so they've already lost him in the last week. 18 months left on this player's contract. It's looking likely that they will let him go. He's 6'4", so he's very, very tall, and he's scored 4 goals in 23 league appearances for Genk this season. So he's been in good form and would be a player that I should think would excite Sheffield United fans. And a lot of them will remember the club was actually interested in signing him last summer as well.
You talk about his height there, 6'4". He's a holding midfielder. There have been questions about his mobility. That's the thing. The Premier League, as Marlon knows, is fast, it's frenetic, the pace, the tempo, the energy. You have to get about the pitch quickly, and you have to be able to move quickly on the ball. But he's a good height, so he brings what he perhaps doesn't have in terms of being quick on the ball. He does bring a physical presence to the side, and he's good in the air as well, and that's one of his key attributes. And I'm sure Sheffield United boss Chris Wilder's looking at that thinking, well, he might not be the person that's going to spray the ball around the pitch, but he's going to bring something different to our midfield.
You mention his height and his physicality. You look at that Sheffield United midfield. Ollie Norwood and John Fleck have played pretty much every game. They've had Mo Besic in there and Freeman as well, all smaller, diminutive midfielders. Yes, they've had a great start to the season, but maybe Chris Wilder thinks he needs to mix it up a bit and give them another option, and he looks like he's gone for the complete opposite.
And he's got Norway caps as well. 20 caps for Norway at the age of 21 gives you an indication to his ability and what the national side think of him, and obviously that extra level of experience as well on the big stage.
Marlon, how important is a holding midfielder in today's game?
Yeah, it's just massive nowadays, isn't it? It's just the cover they have for the back 4, back 3, and Chris Wilder obviously sees that he will play a big part in their team and how he plays, and he sees them in that lineup. And like you said, holding midfielder nowadays is massively important, because you see all the top players, the top teams, they have a top holding midfielder that does hold the ball, stop the play from break the play down and distribute the ball, and he looks like he's one of them players that can do that.
Yeah, Keith, Sheffield United, I said that they were flying, and a lot of managers who come into the studio here, they always say the best time to buy is when you're doing well. All right, is this what Chris Wilder's doing?
Without doubt. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're off to a great start to the season. Maybe someone like Sander Berge might not have been aware fully of Sheffield United before, but anyone now has seen their start to the season across Europe, and they're now attracted to this club, and they see the way they're playing football as well. I know from working in the northeast, when teams are struggling, I've seen Sunderland in the past and times Newcastle, when you get to this January transfer window, it's difficult for players to be attracted to the club when they think, hang on, we might get relegated here, we're in trouble. Yeah. You look at Sheffield United, they're safe already, so that gives them an extra pulling power, and it looks as though that's what's happened here with this one.
Sometimes deals get presented to you that you don't really plan for, but you look at the player and he's been on your list and you think, well, actually this has come to us at the right time. Yeah. And now we've got time to bed him in, settle him in. He'll play this season, but we're going to get the best out of him from the summer onwards.
And I'll tell you what, let's go on to another one of Marlon's old clubs, West Ham now, and they are looking to sign a new midfielder, aren't they, Keith? Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so this is Tomek Suchek. Now, he actually sounds very similar sort of player to Sander Berge, big, tall, imposing defensive midfielder. The difference in him is that he scores goals. I think he's got a goal in every 4 matches from a holding position in midfield. He takes penalties, which probably helps as well. But he's been given permission by Slavia Prague, his club, to travel to London, have a medical, which we understand he undertook last night, and is currently talking terms with West Ham. The Slavia chairman actually has been quoted in saying that if the two parties reach agreement and a full contract follows, it would be a record transfer for a player from the Czech league. We understand it to be £17 million for this transfer. And the Slavia chairman finished that off by saying Thomas would deserve it. So he's obviously going with the club's blessing. As I say, another tall, imposing midfielder who I'm told has great stamina, is good in the air, and he's like a robot who doesn't stop running. So I don't know, maybe that's what West Ham need right now, but it looks as though that is the midfielder that David Moyes wants. It looks as though he's going to get him.
Yeah, so he wants a midfielder, Marlon. What areas do West Ham, your old club, need to strengthen?
I'm down there quite a bit. It's a bit hard because they've been playing really good football and it just ain't been going their way. As a striker, when I used to play for West Ham, it's nice to have strikers behind us because I had Teddy Sheringham, Bobby Zamora, Dean Ashton, and it's always, as a striker, it makes you want to do better, knowing that they're behind you. And because I used to play, that's my thought process. I'm going to do my job, I'm going to do it well. And I think like West Ham, they've only got one fit striker that they need, and they need some more to rotate and help Hala, and Anderson's injured now, so they just need another striker, I think, just to push them on and to push them back to where they should be.
At the other end of the pitch, they've been linked with Matty Cash from one of your other former clubs, Nottingham Forest. So I know he'll know a little bit about him. He's being used as a right back or right wing back this season. It looks like West Ham would quite like him to play in that position. How highly do you rate him?
Very highly. He's one of Nottingham Forest's academy development player that's gone on and done really well, and the new manager that's come in there has taken faith in him, and he's paid him back with how he's been playing this season. And obviously Forest looking to get back into the Premier League, and they're in the playoffs at the moment and pushing on, and he's been a massive part of that.
I'm always worried about saying, you know, a club are too good to go down. West Ham, they're just outside the bottom three. They're 17th, 23 points, 23 games. They do have a game in hand on everyone else in the bottom half of the table, actually. But looking at their squad, you'd expect them to get out of this.
Yeah, I've got no doubt that they'll get out of it. The players that they got there and how they've been doing the last couple of games, they've been pushing, they've been fighting. It's just a bit of luck of the green at the moment, and once that comes and get a few players back fit, and obviously, like you said, a few players in off the transfer, I think they'll definitely stay up.
Don't forget to download the latest episode of the Transfer Talk podcast, available on iTunes and Spreaker. Next on Good Morning Transfers, we'll get Marlon's transfer tales, and we've got some news from Crystal Palace. But as promised, developments from Crystal Palace this hour. Transfer team member Michael Bridge is following this story closely for us. Good morning to you, Michael. What can you tell us? Who does it involve?
Yeah, good morning, Tom. Can I just say Marlon Harewood absolutely nails that on the Tottenham striker, so fantastic stuff, Marlon. But yeah, let's get to Crystal Palace and PSV Eindhoven and Patrick van Aanholt. It does look like they're ready to spend Steven Bergwijn money, as I can reveal the club have upped their offer to Crystal Palace with Van Aanholt for a fee rising to, we believe, £7.6 million. Now, for a player of his ability, Tom, that doesn't sound an awful lot in today's market, but this is the key. He has 18 months left on his contract, and we've only just seen recently that values can decrease as the contract is running out. Christian Eriksen, of course, being one example, but I must stress, he's very highly regarded at Crystal Palace, Tom, and he's very happy at the club, and at the club are not looking to sell anyone this window.
Yeah, Michael, you got a thumbs up from Marlon, by the way, there. But, I mean, you're going to be at Crystal Palace on deadline day. Do you expect to be busy?
Tom, I've got the hotel booked already. They've given me the key already. I'm going to be there to the bitter end because I know they're looking to bring players in. Steve Parish and Dougie Freeman working very hard behind the scenes to add more players, not just bodies, but good players. They've been looking for a right-back, well-documented, with Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaving in the summer. A left-back, that's the key here. Van Aanholt plays left-back, but they're looking for a left-back and potentially another striker. But Cenk Tosun has settled in really, really well. And, of course, we broke last week about interest in Yannick Carrasco. That's gone quiet for now, but could that sort of arise again with deadline day? We just cannot wait for deadline day. And I always expect to be busy at Crystal Palace, and I don't expect there to be any change in that. I'm always busy down there.
That is good news for all of us. Michael, thank you.
Yes, still here by the Skypad and still joined by Marlon Harewood. Marlon, we kind of remember your career so predominantly with West Ham. We think about your Nottingham Forest days as well, Aston Villa, as we spoke about earlier. But you also spent a little bit of time in China, my guy. I mean, talk to us about that experience. What was that like in terms of incorporating that new culture?
Yeah, no, it was a great experience. When I was at Blackpool, was coming to sort of the end of my career, and a team like Guangzhou came in for me. They said they got relegated to the first division, so they asked me if I wanted to come and help them to try and get them back to the Super League.
Now, we think about some of the superstars that's gone over to China as well. I think of Oscar, I think of Hulk, and everyone wants to seem to experience this new league. What is it about it that makes it so different and special?
My time there, I enjoyed it so much. They made me so welcome, the team that we played, and the football that we were playing is sort of our championship football, and obviously when you get into the Premier League, which they're called the Super League, it's on a different level because then they play it all around Asia and stuff. It's really good.
Wow. So what level would you kind of compare it at? You've played right throughout the English pyramid. Yeah. I mean, you talk about sort of the championship level, but what was that sort of level like in comparison?
It's hard to describe. It is different. It's probably our championship football, but you get top players coming over to make it even better. So they had to. That's what they wanted to do, to make the league better and better and better. Like you just said, some of the top class players that went over there to do that. And I haven't been keeping an eye on them recently, but I'm sure it would have been better than when I was there.
I have to ask you, obviously, culturally you had the chance to experience it, but from a sporting perspective as well, as a player, would you recommend players to experience a move like that?
I would. It's football, isn't it? It can take you anywhere, different cultures, different countries, and I had the opportunity to go to China to play football, and I enjoyed every moment of it.
Talk to us, like, in terms of the day-to-day, what was it? Was it any different in terms of the preparations? We know how intense the English leagues can be. Yeah, it was, to be fair, because the preparations and they got a lot of respect factors, like going for breakfast and stuff. You have to wait for the manager to come down before you can go to breakfast, and they train like 3 times a day. The team I was with, Guangzhou, that's what we trained at the time, and the heat and everything, the humidity, it was probably one of the fittest I've ever been. And just the culture was really good going out. I was quite well respected from all the locals, and when I went out and looked after by all the lads, and I had a really good time. I can't speak any highly of the team that when they went at me, because they looked after me very well. So like for anyone to go over there, from my experience, I would definitely recommend it, and it was good for me at my time. I think finally I'll just ask you, do you feel, in terms of with the growth that China's obviously trying to make within football, do you think it actually could be like as big as some of the European leagues, and you'll see many more players going over there?
I wouldn't say as big as all the other leagues, but it's one of them leagues that people will go to and want to play there, because it's not going to be big as the Premier League or anywhere else like that, but it's going to be one of them leagues that people will want to be interested in and go out there and play.
Marlon, I've enjoyed your time today, my guy. Go back to the guys.
Hey, there's more time to come, JD. Don't worry, OK, Marlon, because we're going to be getting your insight now into what it's like as a player during the transfer window and on transfer deadline day as well. And on deadline day, I know you never made a move on that day, but what's it like for a player when, you know, potential moves could happen at any time?
Yeah, it has its pluses and its minuses, really, because it could be the best thing for a player to go to a top club, or for the club you're leaving, because obviously if he's coming, a team's coming in for him, he's obviously a massive part of the team that's there. So for that team, it's a bit of a downer that you're leaving your friend that you've been playing with for all season, and all of a sudden January comes along and he's gone. So it's one of them things that you just have to get on with it, and it's football at the same time. And as a player, if a team like West Ham came in for me, I didn't want to turn them things down, because they're where they was and what they wanted to try to do and get back to the Premier League. I just couldn't turn something like that down.
Have you ever been in a position where you have wanted to leave, but your manager hasn't let you for whatever reason?
Yeah, I was at Aston Villa. Obviously, I weren't playing that much there because I had some top-class players, John Carew, Gabby Bongaha, Ashley Young. I found it quite hard, and then I went on loan to Newcastle, which I thoroughly enjoyed my time there, because it was they got relegated to the Championship and they were looking to go straight back, and I was playing up front with Kevin Nolan and Andy Carroll, and we formed a great relationship, and they got promoted back to the Premier League. And then I had to go back to Aston Villa, and Martin O'Neill wouldn't let me go. If it was Martin or the club, whatever reason, they wouldn't let me go, but I wanted to go.
Go permanently once you'd got them back up?
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes easy to forget, like, the human element of leaving your home, going to a new place, and, you know, getting to know the new surroundings and uprooting family even potentially. How did you used to find all of that?
I think it's just come with the territory of the job, really. Obviously, it depends on your family if they're settled or not settled. If they want to come with you, you can't really turn them down to say come with me. But it's obviously your kids, they're in the schools and stuff, and they've got friends and their family. You don't really want to up and leave them and bring them with you. So sometimes it is difficult in that sense. But I made the choices of going because I wanted to follow my dream, being a professional footballer, and my family followed me everywhere I went.
Tell us about the excitement of, certainly for us and all of our viewers, deadline day is huge.
It's massive.
Everyone loves it. What's it like as a player, even if you're not involved? What's it like?
It is exciting as a player. It's exciting for fans because it brings uncertainty to clubs and stuff. And I think it's just football nowadays. It's good excitement to see players go in and come in, and it just turns the club around. And sometimes it's needed in clubs where they are in the position in the league, and then all of a sudden they have a release of life. A top player comes in, and then it spurs everyone on, because clubs nowadays, that's what they're all doing now, obviously transfer to try and better their clubs. And I think it's that excitement that who they can bring in at the end of the day, and to try and better their team.
Sorry,
I was going to ask a quick question, because we're on the phones, deadline day is manic, we're speaking to people. Players are like that as well, aren't they? They're sat in the dressing room, have you heard this, have you heard that, they're chatting.
I can't really tell you that. Because I'll get in trouble. A lot of the lads in trouble because you're not allowed to do that, really, are you? Yeah. They do talk about it, obviously. We're in the change room talking about it to friends that they're really close to, but I don't think you're really allowed to really talk about it like that, because it's not really good to be talking like that in the change rooms anyway, because you don't want to be telling, I'm leaving in the situations if you're in trouble or the club's in trouble, you don't want to be going around saying to everyone that you'll be leaving the club.
Marlon, just very quickly, we saw Pepe Reina in full voice earlier.
Oh, yeah.
What is your initiation
You
song?
said this before. Bring it out. My song was Ice Ice Baby. Nice.
Love that.
And you had a dance as well.
Well done.
I did, but I'm not going to do it because you tried to do it me today.
Marlon, great to have you in. Thank you. Right, the podcast's available now, iTunes, Spreaker, Sky Sports website. We're back tomorrow morning for Good Morning Transfers at 9 a.m. Only a few days to go. Transfer talks back in a couple of hours from midday. We've got Sol Bamba in the studio for that one, and the transfer show tonight with Dharmesh Sheth and Kaveh Solikul, 7 p.m. Next on Sky Sports News, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had some very interesting things to say about the long-term future of Alexis Sanchez at Manchester United. Stand by for that.